I've never tried to like eat more than one, but because usually we do this, like we'll get like a bunch of things, so it plays its role. But I've never.
It's not a competition.
Tried, but if it were, I think I could eat 3.
Today, after a couple of hours of cleaning, finishing up the backsplashes, coolers, and floors for the week, I get a chance to catch up with a friend of mine as we both finish up at our respective restaurants. Ben Lustbader, a real salt-of-the-earth guy, a guy whose hard work has traveled around Chicago through endeavors such as Giant, Chef Special, and now his own, Loaf Lounge, with his also incredibly talented wife, Sarah. Ben appreciates the core and fun of cooking. Ben's someone who I always enjoy talking to, geeking out about food, learning about cured meats from, and just shooting the shit. Today, we meet at one of his favorite off-hour places, Restaurant 016, run by a good friend of his, Chef Bojan. 016 is Serbian American fare, something that before shooting this, I admit I knew absolutely nothing about. But Ben suggested it, and I'm so glad he did. Bojan is quite similar to Ben, really lives in his food. 016 denotes the area code that Bojan is from in Serbia. With a neon sign that translates into brandy all day and the delightful selection of Serbian brandy which Bojan greeted us with, it was great to feel at home. The warmth and deliciousness of my first foray with Ben's guidance and Bojan's delicious efforts, I found a new safe haven. Hey, it's Mike again.
Hi, I'm Ben.
We're here at 016, a Serbian American restaurant on Lincoln and Carmen in Lincoln Square, Chicago. Today, we're here at 016, just one of his favorite off-the-day places. I mean, the spread that we just got is absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to dig in. Here we have the Burek. It is a phyllo dough that is stuffed with spinach and feta cheese. There's also a beef version. I think I've had it once when I was working at Loaf Lounge with Ben, and it was takeout, so I'm very excited to have it fresh.
I remember that we got it. Bojan delivers turkey and ham to Loaf Lounge, and so one day we brought in a bunch of Bureks for a family meal.
It's damn good.
It's so good.
Super flaky, lots of layers. The inside is super tender and moist, but the outside is super crispy, which is something you don't get a lot.
It's laminated, so it's like jelly roll style laminated. So it's like you lay it out. I don't know all of what they do, but they layer in the spinach and the feta, and then they roll it up and then coil it. I think I've never actually seen it happen, but so it's kind of like a big scallion pancake of sorts. Has other names in other cultures, like it's pretty similar to like Jewish burekas. So it's like tons of layers, all kind of folded in on top of each other.
Yeah.
And then it puffs when they cook it.
Buttery, cheesy,
Super
spinachy,
crispy.
served hot as hell. It's always a great thing when you get a break from making family meal, and also it was delicious then, and it is amazing to have it super hot and warm. Like it was a relief that day and enjoyable, and this is like next level.
Agreed. I will say, so this is one of the things that Sarah, my wife, and I get every time we come here, and it's super good cold out of the fridge the next day.
Ooh.
Even though it loses all the crisp and everything, it's still like very comforting to eat straight out of the fridge. It really is like one of my very favorite things that he sells it to go. You can get it like this foil situation. So I was ordering things that we needed otherwise, the turkey and the ham and stuff like that. And so it's like, send me a dozen Burek too. And
how many can you eat in a day, you think?
I've never tried to like eat more than one, but because usually we do this, like we'll get like a bunch of things, so it plays its role, but I've never
It's not a
tried.
competition.
But if it were, I think I could eat 3.
Here we have the Kobasica. This is something Ben recommended. He said he gets it often when he comes here. And how would you describe this?
It's a smoked sausage. I'm pretty sure that it's all pork, but it's in lamb casings and it's smoked, so it's got like this crisp, like snap to it. The smoked sausages get, and it's just crazy delicious. And there's onion and cabbage and bacon like sautéed and poured over top of it, and a big dollop of whole ground mustard, a bunch of chives. It's just super comforting and delicious.
Yeah,
This is probably my favorite sausage in Chicago.
that's right. I'll be honest, I'm not. I know very little about Serbian food. However, Ben has always talked about this place, and Bojan with great affection and appreciation. So I am super excited to actually be eating it for the first time, and I am upset that I haven't eaten here sooner.
I wouldn't say that I know a ton about Serbian food either, but I love it here.
The cabbage is like super sour, but not like wilted, so it's like crunchy. Not the way you would think of like sauerkraut, which is generally kind of a softer bite. Yeah.
Lamb casings are common for smoked sausages because they're like narrower. And they have that like nice snap. But I think it's just a style. I think the crisp is just from being smoked, and then short answer, I don't know, but I think they just warm it up like in an oven, and like the crisp just kind of like holds from having been smoked.
Yeah. The juxtaposition of the juicy emulsification.
That's right.
Something that
Yeah.
Ben,
properly made sausages.
yeah, something Ben really gave me a good tutorial on when I worked with him at Loaf Lounge was the benefits and gloriousness of emulsified meats. Something that I continue to play around with constantly throughout the stuff that I do with Karatapao and the stuff that I'm doing now at Mugnoli, and it's so fun. You really just get to make food better the more you understand about it.
That skill set when you're making sausage yields a better. You can give 2 different people the exact same set of ingredients, and if somebody knows how to handle them appropriately, you're going to have a juicier, nicer, like more balanced end result than if another person just kind of like throws it together and doesn't, understand what to look for when they're specifically when they're paddling the meat. I know that Bojan is great at making sausage and charcuterie. He and I worked together at PQM literally a decade ago. We both continued to go down this path. Yeah, just having like a grasp of technique, I think really puts people like Bojan in a next tier. Is it all pork lamb casing?
Yes. No, there's lamb casing. Yeah.
All pork meat in a lamb casing?
Yes. Yep.
What are the spices?
Garlic, pepper, black pepper. That's pretty much it. Not a lot of.
What is it? What's the heat coming from?
Probably a pepper. Maybe there's a chili flakes in there. Yeah.
Oh, it's really.
Do I
awesome.
remember right? Is it named for the town that it
No,
originated?
not that one. We have the other sausage, the dry sausage that it's named after.
Oh.
Yeah. This is just a common southern Serbian grilled sausage that we usually make in Serbia. So, yeah.
And this snap comes from the smoking.
From the smoking, yeah, and drying out. Let it dry. Once you stuff it, we let it dry it out for a day in a cooler, just so if it's like watery, like it will not absorb the smoke and it's not gonna get that snap. And then once it's done, you put it right away in a cooler or like ice bath just to get that snap.
Awesome.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Delicious. Thank you.
This is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Sarma, it's stuffed cabbage, ground beef inside, strip of pork belly on top, gravy. But
I would have to say something that I noticed about like the menu, and especially coming from like, I don't know, I have Polish in my family and in my blood. All of this stuff, like you read the menu, and for me, I just read the menu and I'm like, oh, that's something so familiar. Similarly to the sausage we just ate, like it sounds so familiar and so like approachable, And when you eat it, it's not that it's not approachable, but when you eat it, it's a range of flavor different than like maybe the description says. Just because it's like something that I know, it doesn't mean that it's not like this delicious, like amazing explosion of something that I wasn't expecting. Like there's a little heat in the sausage, the way the cabbage and bacon are on top. It's just so pleasant and enjoyable. And I'm really excited about this cabbage, especially because like the pleating and the nice presentation of the cabbage itself and how it's stuffed looks like a dumpling, which I don't know. I've had my grandmother's stuffed cabbages before and they never look this pretty. Rest in peace, I'm sorry. But, and there's a piece of bacon on top, so. Yeah.
It's great.
I mean, stuffed cabbage in general, cabbage is an underappreciated vegetable. I know it's used very heavily in almost every cuisine, but nobody talks about it.
I've always liked it. I think, yeah, what you said before is great. It's just like, that's kind of the fun of going to like a restaurant, especially like a restaurant where you feel comfortable. It's just like, yeah, I know what stuffed cabbage is and whatever, but it's like, this is really good. Like,
Yeah.
And the experience of like eating it here, like, is just very lovely.
Yeah. The environment's great. I really like having Bojan around as like the chef, and he's here. Restaurants that their chefs are not there, it's kind of a bummer. And it's very nice to eat in any restaurant that the chef is always working. And again, yeah, like this is stuffed cabbage, but it's a damn good stuffed cabbage. This is Shopska?
This is Shopska. This is like cucumbers, tomatoes, onions, feta, like an herby vinaigrette. And I'm pretty sure this is just like a staple on the menu. It's here all the time. But since it's tomato season, it's a good time to point out that one of the things I love about Bojan's cooking is that like he's just really good at like seasonal cooking, Midwestern cooking, and like you'll find things on the menu from just like local farms, and he's just really on point with all that kind of stuff. And so it's really.
And it's nice to have one vegetable on the table because. And feta cheese has currently been something that I ate probably half a brick of feta cheese a night. There's an insight to any of you guys looking to be cooks or chefs or anything like that. What I ate last night was half a brick of feta cheese. It did make me feel good though. I woke up super refreshed today. I feel amazing. Like, I had the best day outside of like it being a little slow.
And you attribute it to the feta?
Kinda, yeah. I'm hiding from lactose intolerance that runs in my family. I had a half a brick of feta and
You said it was goat feta though.
It was
There's no
goat.
lactose in that, right?
Oh, I guess so. Damn. But then I followed it up with ice cream. So a lot of dairy of some sort last night. I'm surprised I'm not dead. This is really great in the summer. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Cucumber, tomatoes. It's like cooling, refreshing. You got that funkiness from the feta.
Yeah, it was like 100 degrees today too, so.
Some things don't need you to pontificate on them. They're just good. Here we have a charcuterie plate. Now, why would one get a charcuterie plate here?
I always get a charcuterie, or not always, but I almost always get a charcuterie plate here. Again, Bojan, and he has a friend and coworker back there named Mark who also worked at PQM, though he and I didn't cross paths there. And they're both just really, really good at it.
So they're making all this stuff here.
They're making all this stuff here, and it's top notch. I'm weird about chicken liver pate. Like, I order it places that I trust it, like, and I kind of like skip it if I'm less sure. But it's killer here, and everything else is great. I know, like you said, this one was head cheese. This one is a Serbian salami, lonza, I think. Chicken liver pate, pickles, or no, that's lonza. I'm not sure what this one is.
It's, I think he said like smoked beef.
Smoked beef. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And then pickled cucumbers, cornichons, which are always great. But it's so nice to get, I don't know, charcuterie at a place that actually makes their own charcuterie.
Excited.
The meal also comes with this beautiful, really beautiful house-made bread. Like the texture of it and the crumb on it is fantastic. Crispy on the outside, super soft on the inside.
That is well-made sausage.
This head cheese in particular is not too salty. It's very rich. It's got a nice, so buttery, and it's damn good. Unlike Ben, I will eat questionable pate because I make questionable choices sometimes. But I've never gotten sick from pate.
No, I will get it, but I don't like, my eyes aren't drawn to it if it's a less familiar place.
And also, I would say a big enjoyable part of this meal is like the mixture of the spices that you're getting. You can go to a Polish deli or get pate at a Vietnamese place, get pate at your local diner or whatever, and it has a different spice to it. This pate has a little bit of heat to it. It's really, really good. Super smooth and delicious. I also think that the types of meat that they're especially serving on this is like, it's varied. So you have the head cheese has a good amount of fat and a good amount of like gelatinous texture to it.
Yeah.
Where the lonza is more meat versus fat, and then you have the salami that is like, it's a harder bite. These are both very like tender chews. It's entertainment for the mouth, you know? It's great.
Mike, how'd you feel about your first trip to 016?
I'm upset that I have not been here sooner. Really am upset that I haven't been here sooner, especially after working with you, and it's so good. And this is, I mean, outside of the other places that we've eaten thus far, like this is the type of food, like another side of the food that I really do find comforting. Anybody who really cares about their food makes me like, really appreciate it. So, thank you. Anytime anybody is bringing their culture, like their heart into what they do, it's always going to pay off. So I really appreciate that you've done so.
Yeah, like I said before, like I'm biased. Bojan's one of my best friends. Like we go fishing all the time. Like so I'm definitely biased. For me, that's like adds to the level of like comfort I have when I come here. Like my wife and I come here all the time. Sometimes we'll finish a run here. Like I find everything about both like the place, like everybody else that works here beyond Bojan is also super like kind and welcoming. Every time we come in, everyone says hello and like, you know, treats us like family, and you know, on top of that, all the food is killer. So it's like that's always a thing that we, you know, look forward to. But for me, this is like, there's a lot of like perfect kinds of restaurants for me, but this is definitely the archetype of like one kind of perfect restaurant for me. Like it's just super comfortable and delicious, and always hits the spot, both like food wise and emotionally.
Yeah, the ambiance and getting today is kind of like a rainy, shitty day in Chicago, and coming in and getting plum brandy and all this food is, it's very, very homey, and it's exactly what you want.